folks, this is Rebecca Lane, and I want to give you a quick overview of week 2 and talk to you about how these assignments work together to really build you into a really excellent, informative speaker. You'll see on FSO that week 2 is all about delivering your first speech, first of all, and second of all, really starting to add to narrative to build into informative speaking. So narrative is going to be that building block that you're going to work from. And we're going to start to add in facts, source citations, information, and a little bit more structure. So let's look through the calendar. First, I'm going to look at this calendar. And on this calendar, we're going to look at week 2. So you will see on Sunday, expected activities. Really start to practice your narrative presentation. I really want you to get a handle on that masterful storytelling technique that we've been working on. Really starting to solidify your personal style, your use of metaphor, your use of concrete language, your use of concise language and vivid language, all of those tactics, those writing tactics, your use of repetition, all of those things, so that we can start to see them, start to get it into your bones within your narrative speech. So while you are practicing, you have an opportunity to start to work ahead because you have another quiz that is going to be due on FSO right after you give your narrative speech. So you will see you've got 2 whole days without having a class with me. And then the next time I see you, you are going to, the very first day of week 2, you're going to be delivering your narrative presentation. What that means for you is that you need to really start, if you have questions, you need to ask them preferably at the very end of week 1, or you can call me, use the phone, call me over the weekend, and I will be happy to talk to you one-on-one about your questions with the narrative presentation. Again, after you give your narrative presentation, really start to turn your focus to the readings for week 2, because you've got that reading quiz due the day after you deliver your narrative presentation. Now, on day 2 of week 2, we are going to start to lecture. The very first thing we'll do on day 2 is we're going to wrap up any narrative presentations. Now, if we're in a class of 50 students, then there will definitely be some bleed over into day 2. If we were in a class of 30 students, there will absolutely not be any bleed over. So really, the number of students is going to dictate what we will do very, very first on day 2 of week 2. But once we start to get into the lecture, this is the information we're going to cover. After the lecture, now this is something that you are likely going to want to do after the lecture, although I encourage you to try to start things ahead of time. You are going to want to post your industry professional speech topic. Make sure you take a look at the questions that I expect you to answer for that, because there are a number of questions. But that's going to be due on FSO by 11:59, so you're not going to hand that in class. That's going to be something that you post on the discussion board. Now, in between day 2 and day 3 of week 2, you will actually start to write your outline. So within this assignment, you will see that there is a video that explains your industry professional speech. Please be sure that you watch that because you really want to be able to ask me any questions you need to ask me about that speech in class. We may not read those directions together in class, but I definitely go over them in the video, so you can watch that from home and ask me the specific questions when you see me. On Friday, suggested activities. Go ahead and research and prepare your industry professional outline. Now, this might mean that you have to contact a librarian. Now, I do give extra credit for students who visit the Writing Center. So if you are proactive, you are watching this video, this is an opportunity for 2 points extra credit on your speech, on your industry professional speech. Is make sure that the Writing Center person, the Writing Center staff member that you meet with sends me an email to rlane@fullsail.com, and I will give you 2 points extra credit on your industry professional speech if you can show me proof that you met with a Writing Center consultant, and B, made the changes that they suggested you make. So if you show me that you went, but you do not show me that you did any work, then that doesn't really count. because that kind of defeats the purpose. So, Friday, all about researching and preparing your industry professional outline. Now, you need to make sure that you do this because in class, we are going to use this outline again. So just like we were using your narrative outline in class to complete activities, you will be using your industry professional outline in class to complete activities, and it is important that you have it printed out on paper. If you do not have it printed out in paper, then you are not going to get full credit for attendance that day. The way I do that is I take it out of your participation grade, your professionalism. It usually takes 5 points off the top. So really make sure that you have your industry professional outline printed in class when I take attendance. And again, with the reading quiz for week 2, you are responsible for the reading covered here and the reading covered here. So this is the information that is covered in this quiz right here. So make sure that you have read ahead so that you can A, participate in lectures, and B, make sure that you pass that quiz. All right, so now let's take a look at the other calendar. So this is this calendar, the student schedule. So you will see that on day 1, we are, in week 2, we are going to warm up, we're going to do these narrative speeches, and this is your opportunity to do feedback crews. So if you look at that other calendar right here, you will see that speech day jobs are due. Feedback and all of that is part of speech day jobs, so make sure that you are proactive about completing that. On day 2 of week 2, we're going to start to really focus on how to write an outline and how to organize information, some different tactics you can personally use to organize information in a way that is strategic for people who are hearing your information as opposed to reading your information. Now, the information structures that we go over in class, I expect you to use them in your final presentation, that final presentation that is due on Tuesday of week 3. So you do want to make sure that you are paying very careful attention to this lecture and these activities because you're going to be expected to use them in your industry professional speech that is due the next week. So finally, on Saturday, you can see that we're going to do an outline review. So in class, you're going to do an outline review. You're going to look at your peers' outlines. I am going to walk around and give you feedback as well. And so you're going to get some double feedback on the work that you have done. So if you do not bring your printed outline to class, you're not going to be able to partake in this. And that means that you're going to lose participation credit, and that's a bummer. We're also going to start to talk about source citations, and we're going to have an opportunity to practice that. Now, with source citations, what I really mean is really starting to practice citing your information out loud. And finally, we are going to start to talk about, on Saturday, what I expect with visual design for your speeches. So the second part of Saturday is really, really crucial to the visual component for your speech. You will want to make sure that you look ahead. So if you look at, let's see. So if you are here, there we go, here's the right class. So if you are looking at this assignment, it's called Slide Images, you're going to want to go into that. And make sure that you read it before class starts. And you'll see that there are some videos here. So this video right here shows you what kind of images. So if you want to prepare ahead of time for this lecture, if you want to start finding images that you think actually do apply to your assignment, I really do encourage you to do that. But I do also want to make sure that you are gathering images that you actually can use. So do watch this video, and it's going to show you what kinds of images you are allowed to use for this assignment. So this is an opportunity to be proactive on your end. We'll be doing a lot of these activities in class, but you will get more out of that lecture if you actually do a little bit of prep work. Also, If you need more assistance on slides, I can help you a little bit, but Justin Hardy is really fantastic. He's our lab assistant for this class, and he is a brilliant visual designer. This is his email, so that is a typo. It's actually jhardy, Hardy, at fullsail.com. I will fix that after this video. But go ahead and send Justin an email because he's really fantastic and he's just one of the nicest people you've ever met. So do contact him. All right, so that is your week 2 overview. I hope this has given you a little bit of an idea of how this is all going to work together. So you know that you were giving your very first speech. It's a narrative speech that's happening on day 1. After you give your narrative speech, you're going to be doing a lot of the reading. That reading is going to lead up to how to structure an informative speech. So what kind of structures are effective for people to really absorb your message. And after you've done that, you're going to be expected to really start to post your industry professional speech topic. Now, ideally, you ask some questions in your audience analysis activity that's going to help you tailor the topic that you choose for your specific audience, your specific classmates. So start to think about that. Finally, we are going to do, in class, we're going to start to talk about how, and this calendar is going to be better for this wrap-up, we're going to start to talk about what your peers and what I am seeing in the work that you have done based on this lecture right here. And also we're going to start to talk about verbal source citations. So citing your information out loud and giving you some opportunities to practice those source citations. And the very last thing we'll do is we'll talk about visual design. And everything that we do in these 3 blocks, you will be expected to demonstrate on day 1 of week 3. So adding up to your industry professional speech. So adding in narrative, offering structure, source citations, practice, visual design, all of these culminate in your industry professional speech. All right, so let me know if you have questions. I'm looking forward to week 2, and I will see you in class. Bye.